Tonight on NewsWatch, did political correctness lead to a terror attack? Why victims of the Fort Hood massacre are suing the U.S. government.
Plus, it's a go-to grocery store for healthy foods. But would this popular store have succeeded if its owner tried to start it in today's business world?
And from inmate to entrepreneur, the prison ministry that's giving ex-cons a second chance when no one else would. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Hello, everyone. I'm George Thomas.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. The trial for the suspected Fort Hood shooter is underway. Major Nidal Hasan is defending his actions, saying he did it for Islam. And some of the victims are now suing the U.S. government. They say the military's political correctness allowed the massacre to happen. Charlene Israel has tonight's top story.
Witnesses say Army psychiatrist Nidal Hasan opened fire at Fort Hood nearly 4 years ago. He's accused of killing 13 people and wounding more than 30 others. Now on trial, he denies none of that. In a brief opening statement Monday, he said, quote, "The evidence will clearly show that I am the shooter." Hasan called himself a mujahideen, or a Muslim holy warrior.
He further stated he realized during the war that he eventually found himself on the wrong side and switched sides, considering himself a mujahideen.
He then told the jury, quote, "We mujahideens are imperfect Muslims trying to establish a perfect religion. I apologize for any mistakes that I made in this endeavor."
This is just cold-blooded massacre. And if you believe in capital punishment and you don't vote for the death penalty in this case, then I don't know what case you would vote for it.
Meanwhile, as Hasan proudly admits to carrying out the attack, survivors of the massacre remain furious. A group of 148 victims and their families are suing the U.S. government for essentially allowing the attack to happen. Their lawyer told British newspaper The Sunday Telegraph, quote, "Because of where he came from and how he prayed to his God, they promoted him and set him loose and ignored his very open, very obvious jihadism." 2 years before the attack, Hasan told a crowd of medical college students that the U.S. was waging war on Islam. In another incident, the FBI spotted email exchanges between Hasan and top al-Qaeda terrorist Anwar al-Awlaki. Still, Hasan was left untroubled by military authorities. The victims say it's time for the military to meet its responsibilities to those harmed by its negligence. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
A U.S. drone strike killed another 7 alleged al-Qaeda terrorists in Yemen today. The suspected drone attack is the 5th in Yemen in less than 2 weeks. Tuesday, the U.S. and Britain evacuated embassy staff due to a threatened terror attack in the country. The U.S. has temporarily shut down 19 embassies across the Middle East and Africa. A senior U.S. official says they're responding after intercepting a message from al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. Experts say al-Qaeda's core leadership remains a big threat, and the terror network has spread into more countries today than it was operating back on 9/11.
Well, it's a historic cancellation and one that will likely deepen an already frosty relationship. President Obama announced today he will skip a planned face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Heather Sells has the details.
It's the first time an American president has canceled a publicly announced visit in Russia since the end of the Cold War. Ironically, the president just rebuked Russia on national television for operating in a Cold War manner.
There have been times where they slip back into Cold War thinking and a Cold War mentality. And what I consistently say to them and what I say to President Putin is that's the past.
The White House maintains there has not been enough progress on a bilateral agenda to make the meeting worthwhile. But there's also NSA leaker Edward Snowden. In a statement, the White House said Russia's disappointing decision to grant Edward Snowden temporary asylum was also a factor.
If there's a lawbreaker or an alleged lawbreaker in their country, we evaluate it and we try to work with them. They didn't do that with us.
The cancellation puts an even greater distance between the two countries, which have differed over key issues in the past several years. The U.S. accuses Russia of helping Syria's president fund a civil war. and the U.S. has also sanctioned the country for human rights violations. Russia, in turn, banned all U.S. adoptions. Still, the U.S. cannot completely sever ties. Secretary of State John Kerry and Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel will meet with their Russian counterparts in Washington tomorrow. The U.S. needs Russian transit routes to exit Afghanistan, and at some level needs Russia's cooperation to oust the Syrian president. Heather Sell, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. The Justice Department has filed criminal charges in the deadly terror attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi last year. 4 Americans, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, died on September 11th, 2012. The criminal complaint lists an unspecified number of suspects. One official told the Associated Press it includes Ahmed Abu Khatallah, the head of a Libyan militia group who admits being at the compound that night. Republican Congressman Darrell Issa says criminal charges are not enough and the attackers should be apprehended immediately.
A massive fire to report on shut down East Africa's largest airport in Nairobi, Kenya, forcing planes to divert to other cities. The fire destroyed the international arrivals hall where passengers get their luggage. No injuries were reported. The cause is unclear, but the fire broke out on the 15th anniversary of the deadly terrorist attack on U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. More than 200 people were killed in those attacks by al-Qaeda, including 12 Americans. Officials say there were no immediate signs today's fire was connected to terrorism.
The State Department is reaching out to faith communities across the globe in an effort to promote U.S. foreign policy. Secretary of State John Kerry announced the creation of the Office of Faith-Based Community Initiatives. Its goal is to get input from religious leaders as the State Department works to advance freedom and reduce poverty. The new head of the office is Sean Casey, a professor at Washington, D.C.'s Wesley Theological Seminary and a 2008 Obama campaign advisor.
As religious leaders in faith communities shape their environments, they also have an influence and shape our own foreign policy concerns here in the United States. It's essential for the United States to understand them and to bring them into our diplomacy and development efforts.
Casey is best known for several controversial remarks made while religious affairs advisor to the president. During the 2008 campaign, he described Jesus as an illegal alien.
A key security function in Obamacare is months behind schedule, even though the healthcare law kicks in less than 2 months from now. When Americans begin enrolling in health insurance exchanges October 1st, their identity, income, and other sensitive information will be funneled through a federal data hub. Reuters reports the safety of this technology has not been tested properly because of many missed deadlines. Tests to certify the security of the system has been pushed back to September 30th, just 1 day before enrollment begins. And an unsafe system could open many to fraud and identity theft.
Well, you've heard the phrase, Big Brother is watching you. When George Orwell wrote that in 1948, it was science fiction. Today, it's a fact. The government may not be Big Brother, but it can track you almost anywhere, anytime. And new technology will make it even easier to follow people. Jennifer Wishon has that story.
If you go to the mall to buy a new outfit, go home and log into a website, then hop into your car with your smartphone to take a road trip, you wouldn't expect those things to be logged about you in cyberspace, but they probably are.
It's hard for you to know all the places where the information is being generated about you.
Data brokers are constantly collecting information about you, and it comes from sources you may not expect. Even this mobile gaming device tracks its GPS location when it's offline. Other gaming systems literally watch you, detecting where you are in a room and monitoring what TV shows you're watching. Companies are collecting specific information about what you buy to less specific yet sought-after metadata. That's basically data about data, or put another way, information about you, like how many phone calls you make, how long you talk, and even the subject of your emails. It allows the government and any other readers to categorize you, determine with whom you associate, and how you think. Justin Brookman is a consumer privacy advocate at the Center for Democracy and Technology.
My concern is if you go to the store, with your credit card, buy a loaf of bread or buy a donut, right? Does that information get collected about me and sold to, told to my doctor, to get sold to my insurance company? That's the sort of thing we don't have control over right now. And I think people should agitate for better controls, for better laws about this.
And surveillance isn't going away. It could easily become even more pervasive in the future because technology is only getting, smarter.
Right now, if you take a picture of someone walking down the sidewalk, chances are you won't be able to identify them using facial recognition software. But that technology is coming, and that has some people wondering if privacy is dead, or at least on life support.
And don't forget the growing capability of drones, unmanned tiny eyes in the sky that could follow you without you knowing it, even if you aren't using a cell phone or any other electronic device that can track you. The number of drones is growing all the time. And with the growing capability to track people electronically virtually all the time, there's a move for Congress to pass a new privacy law. But it's a fine line to legislate.
The key is going to be have these smart devices working for us and not against us. And right now, I don't have the confidence that that's going to be the case because people don't know what information these devices might be sending off about them.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, no pesticides, trans fat, or high fructose corn syrup in the entire grocery store. Meet the man behind this booming business.
Are there places around your home where you wish you had a light, but you don't?
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here for the Light Angel, the motion-activated LED light that sticks up in seconds and goes practically anywhere. It's like a guardian angel for your home that lights up the way for you, your family, and friends. Light Angel's weather-resistant adhesive sticks to practically anything. It's perfect for lighting up a porch, making a pool safer, and lots more. The Light Angel tilts back and forth so you get the perfect amount of light exactly where you want it. It swivels 360 degrees so you can light up almost anything. Stick it up by the front door, use it by the back door or a side entrance. It can even light up a shed. The Light Angel is the first one to see you coming and makes a great garage light. The secret's the technologically advanced motion detector that automatically activates the light whenever a human, pet, or automobile crosses its path.
Your home is far less likely to be broken into with a motion sensor light. That's why we recommend Light Angel to our residents.
It stays cool to the touch, and you can even use it indoors to brighten up a closet that doesn't have a light. And it's great under a sink or in tight spaces. Light Angel's 7 LED bulbs will stay bright for 100,000 hours. Use 4 AA batteries, stick up with no tools, and turns off after 60 seconds. Even when the power goes out, you can depend on the Light Angel to be your guardian angel. You could spend a fortune on a motion sensor light, and you need tools to install it. Or you could call or click now and get the stick-up, motion-activated Light Angel for $12.99. As part of this special offer, you can double the value. You can also get our best-selling Old Brooklyn Lantern, the vintage-style lantern with powerful LED technology. Light Angel, just $12.99. Call now for this amazing TV-only offer. When you order, find out about free shipping.
Call 1-800-543-1430. But hurry, and you can get an amazing second Light Angel and Old Brooklyn Lantern with your order. Call 1-800-543-1430. That's 1-800-543-1430.
Between artificial fats, sweeteners, and added colors, much of America's food supply is fake.
Yeah, and it can be very hard to weed out all those unhealthy foods. Lori Johnson says some stores are trying to help. And in this report, she takes us shopping at one of them.
Americans are becoming sick and tired of eating food that makes us sick and tired. That's why business is booming at Whole Foods Market, one nationwide grocer trying to set itself apart from the rest.
As you can see, the selection here is huge, but the reason so many people shop at Whole Foods is because of what is not here.
First, no pesticides on the produce. It's organic. No trans fats, not even in the packaged foods or in the bakery. No MSG in the soup or anything else for that matter. And here's a biggie, not a trace of high fructose corn syrup anywhere in the store. So why the bold departure from typical grocery store fare? According to founder John Mackey, it's simple.
We want to help heal America.
And America wants to be healed.
We're overfed and undernourished, and processed food is just not good for us.
Almost everything in here has under 10 different ingredients in it, as opposed to a regular store that has 20 or 30 ingredients in it.
I notice that when I'm eating healthier foods, I feel a lot better, especially with as bad as the flu season has been this year, keeping up your immune system.
Mackey started Whole Foods back in 1980 in his hometown of Austin, Texas. From that one tiny store grew hundreds all across America, raking in annual sales of $12 billion. In that area, Mackey also took an unusual step. He stopped taking a salary and stock options years ago.
I'd made enough money and I just really wanted to work for service. I didn't want there to be the accusation that it was about some type of personal gain.
Whole Foods Market has made the list of Fortune's best companies to work for 16 consecutive years. Among other things, employees get a 20% discount, 30% if they're healthy.
But consider this. What if instead of 30 years ago, John Mackey started Whole Foods today? Would it still be the same success story?
No, according to Mackey, because the new attitude in Washington demonizes business, making it nearly impossible for startup companies to get on their feet.
There's just so much more red tape, so taxes are higher that corporate income tax now in the United States is the highest in the entire world.
In his new book, Conscious Capitalism, Mackey calls a free market economy the key to prosperity. But the Obama administration is imposing the exact opposite.
I'm very concerned about it. As little as just 13 years ago in the year 2000, we still ranked number 3 on the Economic Freedom Index. In 2012, we fell down to number 18. So if you want to know why unemployment's at 7.9%, if you want to know why per capita income has declined over the last decade, you don't need to look any further than that statistic.
Mackey says free market capitalism would also fix health care, but Obamacare makes our bad situation worse.
Nobody ever knows what anything costs when they go to the doctor. And that's not competition. You don't have any price transparency. I oftentimes joke that I wish I could run Whole Foods that way. Don't put any prices on anything we sell. And people get to their registers and they say, well, how much is that going to cost? And we say, don't worry about it. You've got insurance, right? We'll just bill your insurance company. We can charge pretty much whatever we want. And that's what we have now in our healthcare system in America.
So while John Mackey works to provide good jobs for thousands and good products for millions, he's concerned he may be a dying breed. Government intervention and the demonization of business are stifling the entrepreneurial spirit, which hurts everyone. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, a former felon faces the harsh reality of life on the outside. See how this ex-offender gets a fresh start.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Yeah! Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married,
3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Well, every year, more than 700,000 people are released from state and federal prisons. Life on the outside is tough for many of them.
And one reason it's so difficult is because employers are reluctant to hire ex-cons. But as Charlene Israel found, she found one man who is helping some of them get a new start in life.
Sean Collins Harris once dreamed of traveling the world as a motivational speaker. In college, that all changed when he got caught up with the wrong crowd and started selling drugs.
I wanted to make money. At the same time, I wanted to make quick money.
That desire eventually landed him behind bars.
I was sentenced to 5 years in the state penitentiary for possession with intent to distribute more than 5 pounds of marijuana while in possession of a firearm.
After serving his time, he ran into a familiar problem, his record.
You got to put food on the table. You got to provide for a household. How are you going to handle these responsibilities when people are afraid of you because you're a convicted felon? They've been told not to hire convicted felons.
Dr. Tokes Ido sees it all too often. After taking part in his church's prison ministry, Dr. Ido noticed a trend among prisoners re-entering society.
As it got close to the time of the men's release, a lot of them became apprehensive. I found out that a lot of them didn't want to go back to the same old neighborhoods. They didn't want to go back to the same guys they hung out with.
When you get so many doors closed in your face, what is there left to do? Like, what can you do? I had a child, I have a wife, so it was either one or two things. Go back to what it is that I knew how to do, because trust me, that same old gang was there.
For that reason, Dr. Ido created Leadership Call, an organization helping remove barriers for ex-offenders across Virginia.
Unfortunately, most of these men have been given a bad rap. They've already paid their dues by going to prison. They don't have to keep on paying when they get out.
Leadership Call helps participants tear down negative mindsets while discovering their strengths and abilities.
All we're trying to do is find out what it is that God has deposited in each individual and help them tap into that to become self-governed.
One method is by helping ex-offenders start their own businesses. Dr. Ido uses his experience as a consultant and defense contractor to get the ball rolling.
I'm a free market capitalist. I'm a firm believer in business. I mean, it's huge. Gosh, if there's one thing that works well, it's a free market. So I've seen that work tremendously well with the men. We have about an 85% rate of success.
Sean became a Christian while in prison, then went on to be one of the program's success stories.
I borrowed a lawnmower from my grandfather, went and borrowed a pressure washer from my wife's aunt. Now I own 3 pressure washers. Now I own 7 lawnmowers, trailers, and equipment, and run my own lawn care business. I have subcontractors under me that do roofing and all type of handyman services.
29-year-old gang member Mike Taylor faced an 8-year prison sentence for robbery. Before giving his life to Christ, Taylor felt he had a death wish after seeing so many friends killed in the streets.
I was ready for whatever. If I would have got shot and died right then I wouldn't have cared. And if I woke up tomorrow, I wouldn't have cared.
Now he cares about the plans for his new T-shirt business and nonprofit organization, thanks to the program's biblical principles and discipleship. That will help him to do good in the communities where he once did so much bad.
I'm not worried about the money. I'm just worried about, making a difference when I leave here. I just want to leave a great legacy that's going to last future generations.
Dr. Ido says when inmates complete their 12-month participation in Leadership Call, the outcome is renewed hope and transformed lives.
You know, it's sad we recycle everything. The only thing we don't recycle is human capital. I mean, think about it. Created in God's image, but we dump it, we trash it, and just, let it go. So in a way, I'm in the recycling business, but it's awesome to see when they get it and they run with a vision.
I'm just giving God the glory for everything that he's doing and just standing in awe and can't wait to see what he's going to do next.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
So there are some universal rules that transcend language and culture. One of them is always in effect at museums.
It is true. You can look, but don't you dare touch. Well, that rule was apparently lost in translation for an American tourist visiting Italy. The man was trying to compare the size of his hand with that of a 600-year-old statue. And like something out of a sitcom, he accidentally knocked off the statue's pinky finger. The punchline? The man is reportedly a surgeon. Clearly not operating with a surgeon's hands at the time, George.
Yeah. You don't have to be a surgeon. I could do that. I could so easily end up doing that. Because I'm always touching.
I've been to Italy, but...
Always touching. Always touching. Well, folks, that's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Check out our Facebook page, especially mine, not George's.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.